Greetings and welcome back to SmartWatchTicks.com. We've got a ZORDAI watch today, part of their OD series. It's the latest, the OD2, and it is really interesting. On the back, they got their safety warning about it not being a medical device. Yeah, it supposedly does heart rate, blood pressure, blood oxygen, and ECG, but that's a weak point with this watch. Wouldn't really recommend it for the biometrics, but there are reasons I think this one might be appealing to you. Let's take a look at it. At first, it's beautiful. This is a gold one they sent me, and I've never seen a watch as sparkling as this one is in gold. It comes in black, it comes in silver, but the gold is just incredible. It's a really, really nice a shade of gold, I guess you could say. Lots of little covers on it to pull off, and more goodies in the box to look at, and we're going to look at the module in detail. But I do want you to know where you can get it. If you're ready right away, you can jump over to AliExpress. ZORDAI has an official store, and this is a link directly to it in the show notes. It'll take you here to pick up the OD2 for about $35 or so. And we may have some discount coupons for you on that as well. In terms of what's in it and what's special about it, let's jump in. It's a 1.5-inch HD screened smartwatch, but check this out, IP68 waterproof to 10 meters. Now, most of the ones we see are 5 ATM that are swimmable and all that other stuff. This is double that. And water pressure doesn't just double the deeper you go. So if it meets 10 meters waterproofing, you probably can dive with this one, hang glide with this one, do whatever you want with it, splash around any which way. It's talking about GPS tracking, but there's no GPS in the watch. It is tied to the app, but you can get a track for your activity if you take the phone along with you. Does have a built-in compass though. That's all in the title. Let's dive in some highlights in here. Bluetooth 5.0. It's an IPS full color screen, 485 by 485 resolution, which is nice and sharp. You've got 3.7 volts, 380 milliamp hour battery. Gives you 4 to 5 days of normal use, 10 to 15 days standby. It's using a wireless charger on this one, about 3 hours for charging time. These are a lot of the different functions that are in the watch. We will look at that. Supported languages for the app and for the device itself. So, again, the module now. This is really, really something. You got microphone there, you've got what looks like speaker there, all of your sensors on the bottom, kind of a red line separating the bezel from the body, and two different kinds of bands, or colors at least. This is really an interesting color. I've worn this one and got a lot of double takes, a lot of looks for it. It's kind of an off yellow, orange, brown, hard to define, but it really looks well with the watch. And of course, you can do the orange match with it as well, and that's really striking too. The wireless charger's in the box. It's a simple little thing. It's got a concave side and a flat side. You want to make sure you're charging on the concave side. It's got a little film on it that you can remove, of course. And then, buried way down in here, is the tiny little manual for the OD2. We'll page through that for you. Gives you your basic information on charging, drop-down menus, phone calls, heart rate, the different sensors that are in it. Not a lot of pictures, but goes into some technical detail there. Here's the QR code for downloading the app. It's using the ZORDAI app, and actually it's best if you download that directly from the Google Play Store or use the link in the show notes that we've got below, and that'll take you right over to the Play Store as well. And iPhone users, yeah, you got something over in the Apple Store that'll support it too. It keeps going, and then we got Chinese on this side. We're going to play with these bands so you can really see what it looks like. Check out those silver screws against the gold. Wow, really, really nice. Press the top button, give it a couple of moments. It'll turn on with a hello, a vibration, and it opens into a beautiful integrated watch face with this one. You've got quite a few different faces. They're accessible by turning the knob. Here's a white one, and then a nice orange black one that's digital and analog. Lots of little data showing on it as well. Another nice one. Here's an interesting one with big hands. And by now I'm sure you can see the edge-to-edge display capability is great. Red, digital, analog, another nice busy one. And here's an interesting boxy playful kind. This is like one that you can download from the Google Play or from their dial store, but this is the one that they actually have installed for you. It's what gets replaced if you put other dials on here. I'm going to leave it there because there's a lot to see in this one as we explore the watch. When you pull down, you get this top half panel see-through transparent. You have information about the watch with the QR code to download the ZORDAI app. You have this one here, which is for doing Alipay, because it has the NFC capability, but you have to be in China basically for that to work. Here's your overall brightness. We're at full bright. Now here we are at the lowest. It's just got 3 or 4 different levels. We'll run it at number 3, how about? And then this is for your QR codes for your different social media linking if you want to add that to the watch. This swipes over to get into your overall settings, which we're going to go through all of this stuff here in just a moment. We've got your Siri or Google activation here when you're tethered to your watch. You can set your SOS and make an SOS emergency phone call, again tethered to the watch. This is for your date and time format setting if you want to update that, if you jump around to different time zones a lot. This is lit up. That's the twist your wrist to see the time. And this one is you can touch the screen to see the time. You can have both of them on, either or neither if you want to. This turns audio on and off for everything, music, phone calls, whatever. Here's a built-in flashlight. It gives you a nice bright light to see your way around. And it's nice that it's easily accessible directly from pulling the panel down and swiping over 1, 2 times. And that's the last one, and it loops back to the very beginning again. So that's all from pulling down. Going over to the right, you get the time. Again, a translucent pull-out panel. Basically, the apps you've recently looked at, you can make a phone call, messages pushed from your phone are shown there as well. Sliding this way, we get our step count information for the day. The watch was recently reset because I did a firmware update, so I lost it all. But just trust me, you're going to get your step count stuff. You've got heart rate. When this thing starts, and now's a good time to put it on, you're going to have the background monitoring your heart rate, and once it finishes, it will give you a reading. And there's something interesting about that, and it's typical of most watches. The watch will vibrate when it's done taking its measurement. Now, this is a simulated graph. There's a lot of simulation around these metrics, and you got to be careful with those, especially for the ECG. You do not get a real ECG chart with this one. You only get a simulated chart like this. I don't even know what this is supposed to be, but maybe it's heart rate over time or something, but it's giving you a reading for heart rate. It's giving you the current value that it's determining. It just vibrated. There's your low and your high, and we're done. Now, the reason I call attention to the vibration is coming up in a little while when we get to the app. This is blood oxygen. It's using green diodes, not red. So again, be careful about the accuracy of these. It'll do the same thing, give you a simulated chart. Eventually, it'll give you your blood oxygen and vibrate. Last night's sleep time is right here. Lost the whole thing, but it's on the app. I synchronized it to the app. Here's a temperature in Fahrenheit or centigrade in your area, but no forecast or anything, just the local conditions and temperature. Here's music player, and I happen to have some music queued up on the phone so you can hear what the speaker sounds like. Tap play. It begins loading it up and plays it here. It's good and loud. Hear that? There's the speaker. And I could cover it to mute it. So it does really well on the integrated speaker with this one. And then you can come in here and add anything else that you want. It looks like What was that one? I'm not sure. Oh, that's the ECG. Yeah, I don't have this one on here. Now, the ECG is electrical, right? And that means you have to have an electrical plate that you touch with a circuit between your heart and the watch, and usually a couple of plates on the bottom. This does not. It's just using the same green diodes. As far as I can tell, there's no difference between the ECG reading and the heart rate reading. They're exactly the same. So I don't even know why they put it on there, because it's a redundant reading, misnamed as ECG. And that's why I left it off the list. But you can add it on if you want to and impress your friends that you have ECG in your watch. Just don't use it for anything related to ECG analysis. Okay, it's all a toy. You saw the disclaimer on the back of the box as well. Okay, we're gonna go into some of the apps now. And it's easier to do that with the watch off. To get there, I just simply swipe up. Let's go up to the top. It's a big font on this one. Some of the words go off the screen. This is activate your basic telephone for making calls and messages. You have WeChat available on this one. There's your phone book and your call records. They're all part of the Bluetooth tethering for calling. Data is your step count. Sports are the different activities that you've got, and it is robust in its way of presenting sports. You've got the running kind and the walking kind and the treadmill kind that are all part of your typical outdoor activity style. You've got a whole different category now if you want to get into cycling-ish type things, and then you've got more too. Here's more cycling, I guess. This is steps and push-ups and sit-ups and things. Okay, that was ice skating and cycling, different styles of cycling. Then you've got weight training, I presume, dancing. You've got interactive sports. I don't know. In the app, you should have more details. I'm trying to get down here to eventually you have swimming and water sports. Look at this. There's just tons and tons of them here. Stock car racing and such. Wow. Well, I'm not seeing the water sports on this one, but it's supposed to have them because it's 10 ATM waterproof. That's all in the sports section. Now, heart rate, ECG, blood pressure, blood oxygen. That's all the measurement stuff, and we've talked a little bit about that. Here's that assistant. When you click it, it'll wake it up, and you can interrogate it and hear the answer come back on the watch directly. The NFC card we talked about, flashlight, music, last night's sleep, all these are the same. You got a basic stopwatch in it, and just like most of these watches, you can't leave it when it's running. If you press the button, it'll pause it. If you leave it and you come back in, it resets to 0. So it doesn't run in the background, and you really can't count on it if you're going to actually leave it. You have to have it on the screen. Again, the weather, just the basic stuff, no additional forecast information. Alipay, find your phone. Here's the compass. Now we're going to move this out of the way, we're going to do a calibration on this one. There we go. Okay, now I'm sitting in the north, and so it's showing that my watch is pointing at 182 south. Okay. I could come over here. There's pointing to the east. Yep, that's right. Come over here to the west. Yep, that's right. So it's pretty accurate, pretty snappy, and it's a really nice, robust compass on here. And the bezel even has the compass signs on it. So really nice that it has that capability. Alarm clock, breathing, your inhale, exhale, breath relaxation process gives you a little countdown. Starts up. It's vibrating all the time now, and no vibration as you exhale. Vibrating again, and no vibration. So you can close your eyes and follow your breath through the vibration if you want to, or you can watch it directly on the screen. You've got a simple calculator built into this one, which is decent. You've got some nice digits on that one. Yeah, that's working. And drainage connection. Now it's vibrating the watch, so if you have water, you've been swimming, and you need to get the water out, you can shake it while it's doing the draining. It also is vibrating nicely, so, well, it stopped, but you could probably use it as a massager if you wanted to, too. Here's the SOS emergency call. You can set this whole thing up and use that. Here's apps that you download from the phone, I believe. Your menu styles, all kinds of different ways of showing the menu on this watch. Really, really sweet. And then your overall settings, which includes the languages that are supported. We saw that in the basic specs, but it's nice to see them actually on the watch too. Dial switch, this is where you can change what dial you want to display. Let's go to that one. And where were we? In settings, right, which I can get to from up here. The vibration intensity, you can't turn it off, which is an important factor of what I'm about to tell you as well. Remember I mentioned about the vibration when you did your heart rate? Yeah, you can't turn vibration off. Then you've got power mode, open or close to get longer battery life. This is a mode select for watch mode or smart mode, I believe. Still not sure what that is. You can set your ringtones to sound for your alarm clock and the volume level. Basic stuff. We'll skip through all that. You can set a password, reset the watch if you want to, see the version, which we already did, and shut it down right from here too. So those are all of the overall settings, and that's everything we got to from here. We've looked at this way and we've gone that way. So we've covered just about everything. Now let's switch to the app. It's the ZORDAI app. This is the icon you look for, the thumbnail. When you get it up in the Google Play Store and hit open, you, of course, install it, create an account, and then pair it to your watch. All simple things to do. After it's been paired the first time, when you connect it, it'll synchronize and automatically update. You get this overall health page that opens up, and here's where we want to tell you some interesting stuff. First of all, let's walk through it. We've got our step count information. It shows you the breakdown of the daily steps by hour from midnight to midnight, along with your total distance and your calories consumed. And of course, you can break it down by week, month, and year as well. That's in there. Your sports record, if you've done any activities, they will show up here. And if you're doing activities like walking or cycling, climbing that invoke or could use GPS to help with the distance calculation and show you your trajectory, that will appear. But you got to have the phone and the watch integrated together for that to happen. But this is where you'd see those results. Last night's sleep time, ooh, how colorful. It shows up here. We have it broken down into deep, light, REM for your dream space, and wide awake, and it kind of fades away as you come down and tells you your total time here. When you tap these, you can see the exact time and what zone you were in. I'm not sure why it's... There we go. There. Now it's colorful again. Okay, as soon as you touch it, it goes really deep shaded. But it does give you a really nice way of seeing all of your time. And the night before would show up if you hit the back button and so forth. It's a little noisy, a little busy. I'm not sure that we move in and out of our zones that quickly. It looks like the longest time spent in one of these, maybe 49 minutes or so. That's possible. Anyway, this is another way of portraying your sleep time, heart rate. Here's where I want to talk to you guys. You see that? That's my continuous heart rate from 7 o'clock this morning to current time. Yesterday, it looked like this from 7 in the morning to 7 at night. Now, why? Why don't I have it going from midnight to midnight like I do with all the other watches? Well, this is the peculiarity I wanted to mention to you about this particular watch. Remember, we took a standard heart rate with this one coming over here, and it did its thing, and when it was finished, I told you it vibrated. When you do continuous heart rate, normally it does it in the background and it doesn't vibrate. But there's a glitch, I'm calling it a glitch, that the continuous heart rate, when it's completed, vibrates the watch. So you can set this in the settings, you'll see that in a moment, from 10 minutes to a half hour to an hour, you know, the time between heart rate measurements. And I always set it to the lowest, usually 10 minutes, and you get kind of a portrayal of what your heart rate looks like. But with it beeping every 10 minutes, it's pretty annoying. But for the sake of the review, yesterday I ran it the entire time, and today, so far, up till right now, I've been running it. There, it just vibrated. You can't feel it, but check this out. It's right here when it's vibrating. And it's a bit annoying. So when it happens in the middle of the night, throughout the whole night, it's just unacceptable for me. So I found that something I wanted to report to you guys. I asked the company if they can fix it through a firmware update. And, well, here's the response. This is exactly copied and pasted for you. The claim that this is normal, that continuous heart rate on all watches is done the same way, and they will all vibrate once to remind you that the heart rating monitoring is complete, no matter what time limit you set it for. That's not what I've experienced, and I'm asking you guys if you have any watches that behave like this, that when it's doing continuous heart rate monitoring, it will vibrate for you every time it takes a reading. Please let me know, because I'm looking for just one other watch that behaves this way. Everything I've ever tested in the last 8 years, continuous heart rate does not vibrate. But not so with this one. So, word of warning, if you plan on using this watch for any kind of biometrics, and remember at the beginning I was mentioning this really isn't one for doing all of that. There's better ones out there. Heart rate is definitely going to be a contingency factor for you if you plan on doing continuous heart rate. If you're only going to take it once in a while and it's going to vibrate when it does, you're fine. Blood pressure, instantaneous. Each time you take it, it'll give you a systolic and diastolic. I did a couple so you can see what the data looks like. Then you get your blood oxygen, and those are the little dots for that. And it shows you your average and your latest one on there as well. ECG detection, totally bogus. As you saw in the watch, when you take it, it uses the green diodes. It's nothing different than the heart rate. And if you actually do one and you actually get a report, I think I had one where I had a report. Here we go. Here's what it looks like. And there's the ECG chart. Now, we're human beings. We don't have anything that repeats exactly the same. But I want you to take a careful look at that chart. It's 100% exactly the same. Look from peak to peak. The lines go exactly the same way. There's no differentiation whatsoever. It's a simulated chart within the app to pretend that it's giving you an ECG report. Now, what you're getting out of here, time, height you'd have to put in, weight you'd have to put in, heart rate. Time and heart rate are the only two things that are calculated from the watch, and that's using the green diode. So this whole representation of an ECG is not real. So if you're planning on using this watch for ECG, I strongly recommend against it. You're getting nothing more than a heart rate whenever you try to use it. Ladies, I can't comment a whole lot on menstrual cycle, but it should be an easy formula. You put in the length, the cycle duration, and when it started, and it calculates all this stuff out, and it'll report it to you on the watches as well if you want that information. You can edit these cards, take some of them off, like ECG, save that, and now you won't even see it showing up to confuse you. Sporting activities, this is the area you saw on the watch where you could see some of your results. This is where you'll see them here with your track against the map. If you're doing any of these activities, you start it, outdoor, indoor, so forth. Here's the device. It's got this strange, crazy name. I don't know why they're not calling it the OD2, but look for this when you're pairing. You can sync the data. The watch faces are in here. And they have a bunch. They really, really do. There's hot recommendations, customized ones that you can make with your own picture and such. They're broken into all these different categories: mechanical, simplistic, travel and space, the business ones. And when you go in here, let it download from the server, you get a bunch of them that you could play with. Now, mind you, whether you've got a silver, a black, or a gold watch, you may want to pick something that coordinates well. This face you've seen on the watch, that's already in there, I think, or one very close to it. Yeah. So here's here's something similar to that boxy one, the fun one that I was showing you at the beginning that you could download. So you do have some interesting faces. You can only do one at a time, and it does replace one of the faces that are already on the watch. So be aware of that. And then these different recommendations and such are here. And My Watch is where you have your download history, your purchase history, and any orders you have outstanding for purchasing faces. These two, I haven't seen any place you can actually buy a face, but they may be getting ready for that in the future. As far as I can tell, all of these are free for right now. Okay, that's the dial market. Well, we'll use the back arrow here. It always works. And that's in the device, My Faces. You can take remote pictures with this one, set it up for incoming calls and text messages, because it is a Bluetooth calling watch, right? You've got app notifications. Here's the heart rate monitor, and this is where I'm telling you, you can change the frequency or the beginning and ending times if you do want to do heart rate monitoring. If you'd like to have an alarm, like make your own made sedentary reminder, you could set that for every 60 minutes. And it'll beep at the top of the hour, vibrate, and it will take a heart rate reading for you. So making lemonade out of lemons, that's one way that you can work with heart rate monitoring, as long as you don't mind it vibrating at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, right? Your QR code, if you're going to create any for these different social media accounts, you could set that up. Alarms, there's the Bluetooth call stuff. Finding it, tilting, twist your wrist to see the time. NFC, you can set up business cards or email functions and exchange that through NFC because it is on this watch. And then, of course, there's an app store, and these are separate apps that you could actually download to the watch. So we didn't show you any of these on the watch because they haven't been installed. You can make a little massager, you can play a couple of games, and you could do air pressure, for example. I can tap that. And we did show you the compass activity. Well, now we've got air pressure on it. That's here in applications. And now we've got air pressure. Pretty cool. And where you see that is in the settings, or in the all of the stuff here. You come all the way down in your apps to application, and in application is where all of these, or in any or all of them, however many you download, will show up, and there it is. So that's another nice feature of this one, and this app integration for the ZORDAI company is that app store. These are self-explanatory, and then you got a firmware version you can check. Finally, you have your basic information, avatar, nickname, body, all the other stuff you put in, log out, or even delete your account if you want to. The map settings for Google Map or a different one, a map. Checking for updates, about permission settings, all that's typical stuff. Okay, so let's summarize. Here it is with the orange band on now, which is also really attractive against the gold. This watch is very, very attractive. It's very well built. It's hardened. It's got a compass. It's got a lot going for it. As long as you can overlook some of the shortcomings of simulated ECG and vibration of the watch whenever you're doing continuous heart rate monitoring. But all in all, look at this. Solid metal, gold-colored backing on it. It is really nice. It is available from AliExpress. You can go to the ZORDAI official store over there and pick this puppy up. It is waterproof to 10 meters, one of the most waterproof watches we've seen. That's double the 5 ATM we typically see, which is already way more than the standard IP67, IP68 level. For $35-ish, that's a good deal if you want a really nice, attractive, solid, ruggedized smartwatch. Definitely worth considering. Alrighty, gang, that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon.